What would you do if you inherited a peaceful ranch from your grandfather, only to be blindsided by a letter demanding a staggering $250,000 fine from an HOA you never even agreed to join? Imagine being told you violated rules on your own land, only to later uncover that the real violators weren't you at all. They were the ones who had built homes and a clubhouse on your property. This wasn't just about money, it was about legacy, deception, and a fight that would change everything. Before I start, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? I was ordered to pay a $250,000 fine for violating HOA rules, with legal fees and penalties stacked high. But this was on land I had just inherited. The irony, they had actually built houses on my grandfather's property. That was the beginning of a battle I never expected. 6 months earlier, I was Mike Carson, a 35-year-old software engineer in Seattle. Life was comfortable. 6-figure salary, nice apartment, until the tech downturn hit. In 1 week, my startup collapsed, funding disappeared, and I was left jobless with rent due. That same month, I got the call. My grandfather, James Carson, had passed at 89. He left me his 100-acre Montana ranch, the place where I'd spent summers fishing, riding horse, and learning grit. At first, I planned to fix up the ranch and sell, but when I arrived, things felt off. The gravel driveway and barn were still there, but on the horizon stood rows of luxury houses, part of a new development that hadn't existed when I was a kid. Inside, Grandpa's house felt untouched, his chair by the window, a book half open, a coffee cup in the sink. The silence was heavy. That's when I met Barb, his tough-to-rancher neighbor. She told me Grandpa had been harassed for months by the Sun Valley HOA. I was confused. His land wasn't in any HOA. Then I saw the letter stuck in the door. $250,000 in penalties, threatening a lien if unpaid in 30 days. The charges were absurd: unauthorized agricultural activity, improper fencing, and failure to meet community standards. Barb explained, 5 years earlier, a woman named Victoria Reynolds expanded her Sun Valley development right up to Grandpa's land. He refused to sell, so she pressured him, claiming new surveys proved her community's boundary included parts of his ranch. He fought back, but his health declined before he could finish. In his study, I found a folder marked "Boundaries" with old maps and notes showing the survey lines had been shifted. The next day, I visited the county records office with Barb. Jenny, a clerk who remembered Grandpa, showed us the 1952 original survey and the 2019 Sun Valley survey. The difference was shocking. My family's land extended 300 yards further, meaning part of Sun Valley, including houses and half their clubhouse, sat on Carson land. Jenny recommended an independent surveyor, Bill Matthews. He confirmed it. 10 acres of Sun Valley belonged to me. He even suggested a lawyer, Ben Hawkins, who specialized in land disputes. Armed with Bill's report, I stormed into the Sun Valley office. Victoria Reynolds met me, polished, mid-40s, confident, with a cold smile. She brushed off my evidence, claiming her surveys were official, done by a firm on her payroll. Then came her real message: pay the fines or sell us the land. Either way, you'll lose. I left furious but determined. That night, I called Ben Hawkins. He warned Victoria had a reputation for ruthless tactics, but if we had proof, we had a case. When I learned of an HOA board meeting, I showed up with evidence. The clubhouse was lavish, ironically sitting partly on my land. About 50 residents filled the room. When the floor opened, I stood. My name is Mike Carson. I'm James Carson's grandson. And I have evidence this community, including this clubhouse, was built on land that belongs to my family. The room erupted. Victoria dismissed me as confused, but I presented Grandpa's maps and Bill's survey. Some residents shifted uneasily. One woman, Dana Mitchell, an environmental attorney, stood and demanded to see the surveys. She wasn't intimidated. After the meeting, she gave me her card. Gerald White, the HOA's lawyer, handed me an envelope instead. A cease and desist, and noticed my fines had risen to $300,000. Dana and I met the next morning. She suspected corruption long before, with missing funds and rising fees. My evidence confirmed it. She proposed not just fighting in court, but exposing Victoria's manipulation. Through Dana, I met Carlos Rodriguez, a construction worker who confirmed surveyors were replaced if they questioned boundaries. He connected us with more sources. Sheriff Tom Dawson, an old friend of Grandpa's, admitted Victoria had been throwing her weight around the county. He quietly encouraged me to keep pushing. Step 1 was formally challenging the fines. Victoria struck back by citing me for a public nuisance after I put up private property signs. Sheriff Dawson delivered it himself, muttering, "She's nervous. Keep your guard up." Victoria went public, holding a press conference, calling me a community agitator. She painted herself as a champion of progress. Meanwhile, Dana advised undercover moves. FOIA requests for old surveys, posing as a buyer to access records. Carlos risked everything to pull company emails. Piece by piece, we uncovered the truth. Surveys had been altered twice. Emails proved Victoria knew. Marketing brochures contradicted filings. The evidence was overwhelming, but the local paper refused to publish. The HOA's advertising money silenced them. So I created a Facebook page, The Truth About Sun Valley. HOA maps, documents, financials, all posted online. Residents exploded with outrage, demanding answers. Dana organized a group to challenge Victoria's control. Panicked, Victoria offered me $1 million for the ranch. I rejected it, publicly. That drew major media. Sarah Chin, a reporter, arrived, digging into the case. Her front-page article, "Paradise at What Price? The Battle Over Sun Valley's Boundaries," went viral. Victoria retaliated with a $500,000 defamation suit, but Judge Eleanor Simmons suspended all fines and ordered a court-supervised survey. Outside court, Victoria hissed, $2 million, final offer, or I'll drag this until you're ruined. I nearly considered it until I found a hidden contract in Grandpa's desk. A 1975 water rights agreement proved her company owed royalties for years, meaning she had always known the true boundaries. Even worse for her, I recorded her threats during a private meeting. In Montana, one-party consent made it legal. Now I had her cornered. With the water rights contract and Victoria's recorded threats, I had the final pieces. Grandpa's old maps, the altered surveys, Carlos's testimony, FOIA records, and now her voice admitting everything. Instead of another courtroom slog, I chose to reveal it all in front of her own residents. We organized a public meeting on the disputed land. Flyers, social media, word of mouth, it spread fast. By Saturday, over 100 Sun Valley residents gathered on Carson soil, standing on land Victoria swore was hers. I stood at a makeshift podium with Dana by my side. One by one, I laid out the evidence. Maps projected on a screen, survey reports, FOIA documents, Carlos's recovered emails. Then came the recording. Victoria's voice threatening me, admitting she knew the boundaries were false. The crowd erupted. Some were shocked, others furious. Their dream homes sat on the stolen land. Victoria tried to shout me down, calling it fabricated, but no one listened. Her grip was slipping. I finished with an offer of resolution, not revenge. Here's what I propose. 1. All HOA fines against my ranch are permanently voided. 2. Victoria resigns and sells her stake in Sun Valley. 3. The new board negotiates a fair lease for the disputed land so you can keep your homes without fear. At first, silence. Then voices of support rose. "I didn't spend my life savings for lies," one man shouted. Others clapped. An elderly woman said, "We came here for peace, not greed." By the end, the majority supported my plan. Victoria stood frozen, pale with rage. As the crowd dispersed, she hissed at me, "This isn't over. You have no idea what you've started." I met her gaze. "You started this when you tried to steal my grandfather's land. I'm just ending it." Days later, the official HOA vote sealed her fate. Victoria was ousted, Dana was elected to the board, and every fine against my property was erased. The board signed a legal lease for the disputed land, turning illegal homes into legitimate ones and guaranteeing me steady income. Victoria sold her stake at a loss and fled town, her empire collapsing. Sarah Chin kept digging. Her investigative series revealed Victoria had pulled similar stunts elsewhere. Lawsuits and investigations followed, her entire reputation imploding. As for me, I decided not to sell. Instead, I turned the ranch into something greater, a legacy. With lease income, I built the Carson Agricultural Education Center, fulfilling a dream Grandpa had scribbled in his journals. The old barn became a classroom. The fields turned into demonstration plots for sustainable farming. Schools began bringing kids to learn about soil, water, and ranching. Barb helped often, teaching me the basics and sharing stories of Grandpa. James would be proud, she told me, watching kids run through the fields, not just for beating her, but for finding your place here. Dana became not only my lawyer, but my closest ally, helping me launch a nonprofit to aid property owners fighting corrupt HOAs. Families across the state reached out, asking how to protect their land. I told them, dig up the old records, document everything, never let intimidation silence you. A year later, we celebrated the grand opening of the education center. Kids laughed in the fields while parents toured exhibits. On the gate, I hung a sign with Grandpa's favorite phrase, "Never underestimate a farmer with an old map." As the sun set, I realized I had come here planning to sell and return to Seattle. But I had grown roots deeper than I imagined. Victoria Reynolds thought she could crush me with oases, lawsuits, and lies. But she underestimated what can't be bought, truth. She built her empire on stolen ground, and like all false foundations, it eventually collapsed. This ranch wasn't just dirt and fences. It was my grandfather's legacy, and now it was my future.